Hi, I'm Lindsay, and this is my lifespan project. So, I'm currently 19 years old. I was born on March 13th, 2006, at Holland Hospital in Holland, Michigan. Um, and in these pictures, this is me and my two brothers, and then my sister in law. And then I'm currently involved right now in Delight, and I have been since my freshman year of college. And I'm also involved in like intramural soccer here at SVSU, and these are my two roommates. Um, and then also, those are my parents as well, in the other picture. And then for my major, I want to be a pediatric occupational therapist. So for the first infancy reflex, it's the palmar grasp, which is usually like in an infant, shown around like birth usually. It's when you apply like pressure to the infant's palm, just like with like your finger or something. You just apply like light pressure, and it's usually just their hand usually goes around your finger. My parents said that I showed this around like 1 to 2 months. Um, or I showed this like around birth and then like 1 to 2 months. And that they would just use their finger as well just to apply pressure. My hand would like go around their finger as well. The next one was the Babinski reflex. This is usually shown around birth as well in the average infant. It's when you apply light pressure to the baby's foot and you just kind of like stroke your finger like up and down, and their toes will kind of like curl or flex upwards. These are my brothers holding me in the photo, but they would do this to my foot a lot. They would like tickle my foot or like stroke their fingers like up and down my feet. And I showed this reflex around like 3 months old. Um, and that's what my parents told me as well. They would do that movement to my foot as well. Next one is the neck riding reflex. Typically appears around birth as well for an infant. Um, it's when you turn the infant's head one way, like while they're on their back, and typically their body will rotate the same direction that their head did, as long as their shoulders as well. I would do this reflex a lot. My parents would have me in the living room a lot on my back or my stomach sometimes, and throughout my like infant stages to a few months of age, I'd show this. I'd like roll around quite a lot, and they would do this movement and like test it around like this age as well. And this image is of me just like at birth, laying on my stomach. So starting with the infancy voluntary movement, for crawling, usually the average child begins around 6 to 7 months of age. This is when the child's like on their belly and they're on the ground and they're using like their arms and legs, like for like partial support, and they're like on their legs, for like coordinating movements. I started crawling around like 7 to 8 months of age, so like a little later than like the average child, which is how old I am in this photo with my dad. But I would crawl around like a little bit, and then like I'd be on the carpet, and then like I would just lay down after that. Like I wouldn't really do much after that. I'd kind of give up. The next one is the pull yourself to stand. Usually around like 12 months of age is when like a baby would start to do this. This could also look like cruising, but it's when like the infant uses like other objects to like pull themselves up and kind of like support themselves to like standing and stuff. I would use like these saucer like toys to kind of like help me with that when I was younger. My parents told me that I would, and I kind of remember using these as well. But I did this around 12 months as well. Um, but yeah, so I would do that around 12 months of age. And the next one is walking. So I'll around like 13 to 18 months of age for the average like child. This is when the baby can walk like on their own without support, usually just a few steps, like when they're just starting to learn until they like fall over, they have like unstable balance. I started walking around like 17 months, so around like the average infant age. I took like my first steps and started like carefully walking around with like little support, but then like eventually with no support. So, um, And then for childhood, for like foundational skills, first one's like running. So an infant could like confidently start running around about like 24 months, like into their life. So this is a series of like alternating hops where like both feet are briefly on the ground and then like propelled by the legs like pushing off the ground and stuff. This movement is involved. It involves like an alternating cycle of leg movement, and the arms are also involved with like the swinging in opposition to the legs for balance as well. And there's a key difference here though that running introduces like a flight phase where neither foot contacts the ground, unlike walking's like double support phase. And I started running about like a year and a half years of age or whatever. Um, I'd like be running around like in the backyard with my brothers and stuff like that. So, um, next one is skipping, often around the age of like 7 years old. And with girls, they achieve this earlier than boys. It's about like 6 months earlier than when boys start skipping. It involves like a step hop pattern on one leg, so it's followed by repetition on like the other leg, and it demands dual tasking per leg, unlike the single leg task required for like galloping and sliding. For skipping, I was around the age of 6 when I started, and my parents said that I would like skip around the house, whether it was like inside or outside. I like really enjoyed it. And I used to do it like in soccer practice when I was little. I was on like a rec team for soccer. Um, and I would like do it in between like drills and practices and stuff, like me and my friends would. So, yeah. Um, Next one is overarm throw. By the age of 6, most children achieve this. Like, but many remain like unskilled into like adulthood. I feel like that's like pretty commonly known. Um, this action includes like an over the shoulder movement, and the elbow like leads during the forward swing. What's interesting about the overarm throw is that children as young as 6 months can actually do this. They just do it like when they're in this sitting position. I started throwing the ball around like 8 months old, my mom told me. But when I got older, around like 6 years old, I'd say my dad told me this. But I'd play like wiffle ball and like baseball in the backyard with like my brothers, my dad, and stuff. Um, just like throwing the ball with them or like hitting the ball with them. So, yeah. So, here we're talking about my projected timeline across the lifespan, and my overall longevity score was 91. So, like at my current age, which is 19, um, I'm at like my peak physical performance with like strength and reaction time, and I'm at like a strong motor learning part of my life as well. And as for like getting into like the older, like mid 30s age as well, this like is lifestyle habits and other factors start like influencing my health outcomes as well. So this could mean that there would be like a slight decrease in flexibility and metabolism, yet like my motor skills would remain stable. For like 40 to 49 and most likely like my 50s age range as well. This would be like primary aging effects with balance decline, and strength training is essential to like slow fall risk. So this could also mean like motor learning is still possible but requires more repetition along with like muscle loss possibility. And then for like 60 to 69 age range and like 70 to 79 age range, my coordination most likely will start to decline, but exercise protects this independence, and my motor control depends heavily on continued practice of these skills if possible. And then, like, as well as a noticeable decrease in endurance and balance and reaction speed, my cognitive and motor systems require more time to like learn new tasks. And then for like 80, like the years of like 80 and above, this is my like anticipated lifespan depending on my longevity score and genetics and lifestyle. So like my motor learning is still possible but is just way slower. And then overall, like throughout the lifespan, like my movement abilities, like they'll naturally change due to biological aging. However, the course content makes it clear that lifestyle choices play a huge role in how quickly or slowly these changes occur. So, whether this is like regular exercise or healthy nutrition or stress management, it can delay many like secondary aging effects that help me like maintain good health for as long as possible. And like by understanding these patterns, I can plan for like long, healthy, and like active life as well. So